Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden symbols and messages, as well as all the lyrics of all the top rock songs. And they all sing the same refrain. It's fun.
This is a special request. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimilla, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it
Hey there, welcome to the first episode of my new radio show. We have some echo.
Echo. Super echo.
Super echo. Sorry about that.
Needs more reverb.
More cowbell?
More cowbell.
I don't know why they've never done that before.
It's because I'm very magnetic.
Yeah. That was all normal.
Go ahead.
We're back?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, I wanted to welcome everybody to my first show here on Seedy Wednesday. Oh, we still have a reverb. Welcome everybody to my first show here on Seedy Wednesday. Oh, we still have a reverb.
Where's it picking up that audio from? No idea where it's from.
I think it's time for a dab.
Good jack.
Savage.
Oh, is it that one? That's hanging on the speaker.
No, it's not even on. Not even on.
We'll be back in 2 minutes on the air thing?
Yeah. Well, I gotta check it anyway. So what the hell?
Bum 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 bum.
Let's try to talk again.
Yo, are we back? Sounds okay now, right?
Yeah.
No echoes.
No echo. No.
No.
Nah, we lied.
Is that coming off the thing or something?
Hmm.
You're not on the show, right?
Oh, I am.
Just had the classic example of old
Flargle.
school flargling right now. Yeah, right? We're correct.
Yeah, Flargle.
Perfect. Well, that's why I brought him with me. As we know, is we need to have a little sidekick action. So sidekick has flargled on the very first 5 minutes of the show. Thank you very much,
You're welcome, everybody.
Alex, a.k.a. Flargle. This is the sidekick right here.
Nice.
And if you want to contact us, you can contact us at seedywednesday@gmail.com. And Flargle over here will actually try to get your message to me, and we can keep things rolling.
They can also call in if they like.
And they can also call in, obviously, here at iCannabis Radio at, what's the number?
It's on the website.
It's on the website. Okay, there you go. Even easier. I'll have it all memorized in a few weeks. So basically, this show is going to be based on the activities based around cannabis. My company, TH Seeds, and our company here in in Denver, Hoodlab, which represents Hoodlam, we'll be kind of bringing you up to speed with what we're doing. We have lots of different activities going on. We have on this Sunday, we have a thing called Hands on Hemp that we've been doing for the last about 8 months now. It's been going real well, and it's showcasing different hemp products and producers of products, and basically kind of bringing people up to speed when it comes to like design. Like right now, it's the big topic is housing, building houses, and construction terms and things like that. So this Sunday is one we're having called. We're doing a show. We're showing a screening of Bringing It Home. It's a new video, and it's basically perfect timing because we just harvested the first hemp field in America in over 60 years this weekend down in Springfield. It was a really, really good experience. About 40 people down there, and I think we all really realized that we were there during an epic situation. It was like it wasn't necessarily the greatest hemp field I've ever seen as far as density, but it was there. It was seeded. There were seeds flying around. So from a Seedy Wednesday kind of guy like myself, it was a pretty awesome experience. I think that field, just by us alone, messing it all up, probably planted another 500,000 seeds or something. So it's it's great to see. It's like the beginning of a whole new chapter in this country, and I'm glad to be part of it. So obviously I'm not a big radio guy as far as producing, so this is literally our first one, and we're going to be a little bit all over the place. We planned on calling a bunch of people. I don't really want to sort of like do it all on the first show. I think I'm just going to like ease my way into it. If you guys got any questions for me from growing sides, obviously, you can call in at 720-381-1420. That's 420 at the end, obviously. And, growing, hemp questions, whatever, I'm down. I like it. It helps us keep everything flow a little bit better. So, yeah. See if we got any questions yet? No questions yet.
DJ New York City, we're watching.
Nice. Well, thanks. We're here. This month is crazy. There's like so many good events coming up. That's one of the reasons why I think the show will be great, because we're constantly having events that we need to promote, and like this month is jam-packed. We have Champs coming into town, which is a trade show, like one of the longest running trade shows for glass, probably the longest running trade show for glass, and they will be they're having their first ever Denver appearance. There's over 500 booths. It's sold out. It's a great event. It's for industry people, so I mean you have to be an owner of a shop or friends of an owner of a shop or something to come check it out. But it is definitely worth it. Latest pens, latest pretty much. The glass obviously is a showcase, and that's what I'm there to see mostly. When I was at the last one, I picked up my ham piece. Awesome. But the idea obviously is the showcasing the glass, but I mean, these pens are unbelievable. They've, not that they're great or anything, because I'm sort of 50-50 on the fence about them myself. I think they're a little bit, too many issues as far as, just one more thing to break down as you're out and about, run out of power or something. But they have revolutionized the ability for people to be able to smoke anywhere they want. But, basically. I mean, I've seen people smoking in Vegas, in cabs, and in elevators, and places you definitely would not have back in the day. And I think it's just getting people, used to it. And that's a kind of a good way to kind of cross over. So I have to say, they definitely are useful. They just tend to be a kind of a pain in the butt. That's what I've always noticed. What do you think, Sidekick Flargle?
Flargle that.
That was it. You're supposed to input me with some stuff.
Some important input.
Yeah, give me some names of some products or something. Come on.
Dr. Bonners.
No. Anyway, well, he'll get his sidekick in soon. He hasn't quite figured it out yet, but. So yeah, like I said, the Champ Show coming in is going to be the 22nd to the 24th of October, and it's actually going to be interesting because now Denver has about 3 sort of week-long cannabis holidays. You know, we have obviously 420,
710.
and we have 710 now, and then now we're having Champs, which is going to be a yearly thing, and you know, during the Champs, there's also going to be the Secret Cup going on. I heard it's going to be at the Hoodlab. I could be wrong. It is my place, but it is a secret, so we have to kind of keep it half secret, or secret or not. But no, it's going to be a crazy week. We have that cup going on, then we have the Champs the week after. You've got the Extract Artist Party on that Friday with KRS-One and Farside. So it's like a ram-packed week. I can already feel, I'm already feeling the week after right now, because back in the day when I did the Cups in Amsterdam, it was a once-a-year event, and we had to build up for the whole year, and then it would all happen in 1 week, and it was great for business and great, but it was also tiring, and you never get to sleep. So I kind of looked forward always to the day after the Cups, and now it's like 3 times a year, so no sleep for me, I think.
No sleep for you.
No, I don't think so. Not during that time period. So then we've also got, let's see, during the end of the month, we've got a haunted house, a pedicab version, which is going to be, I think it's the world's first. I don't know. Rhino District. It'll be pretty cool. You basically get a chance to ride pedicabs through haunted houses built at different locations. So it's kind of like, from spot to spot. It'll be very interesting. That's going to be on the 25th. So I'll keep everybody posted on that one, and I think that's going to be a pretty unique thing. It's a good way to check out the whole Rhino District. You have the Hoodlab where we're located on 34th, and then you also have the Monkey Theorem, which is called the Wine Lab, and they're like just a block away, and they have really interesting space, and so we're all going to kind of contribute our wacky haunted house ideas and make something out of it, I think Halloween's one of the easiest holidays to celebrate in America. Everybody goes nuts. Yeah. I lived in Europe for 20 years, and that was one of the disappointments was always Halloween. I went crazy, but I'd always be the only guy. It was like the classic where you're the roll into the party and you're the one guy dressed up. Happened to me many, many times over there, but we made the best of it.
Yeah. Pretty lame on the East Coast sometimes. Not dressing up.
Well, it's. To me, it's almost more interesting, not like the party where everybody is obviously dressed up. I like the daytime when just random people are dressed up. Like you go into the
grocery
Save
store
On and the ladies all done up, you know what I mean? And you're like, whoa, what is going on? Those are actually the best ones because those people are, they're living it. They're not just doing the once a day, They go for the full on style, which I like. And it's the one holiday that I think it's pretty easy to participate. We have had some great. What's that?
I'm a fan.
Hold on, mute, bro.
Wow, that was a good one though. That at least sounded like something happened. What's going down? I didn't know. I thought we had some sort of intro there.
Secret word.
That was the intro to the secret word of the day.
Wah, wah, wah.
No, I don't know. We didn't. We're not that planned. We're not that smooth yet. Actual words of the day. I have there you go. Bowl of the day. I have a 15-month-old, so I'm watching Sesame Street every morning, and I'm amazed by the words they're coming up with. I'm just like, really? Like, yesterday was incognito.
What?
I thought, man, incognito. That's a pretty major word for a kid.
Yeah.
And then they had some chicken dressed up like a dude or something. It was weird, but anyway, yeah, I'm in that mode now. So there is a word of the day every day with Sesame Street. So I might have to start thinking word of the week or something and come up with something good. Come on, come up with something.
I'm looking. Look at that TSA and weed making the news.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Well, we can throw. I mean, I could do. I guess I won't do a news segment, but as my trusted assistant over here throws things at me, I'll try to convey them. Yeah, TSA. It's funny. They've just announced that they're pretty much like given up even trying to like hassle people for small amounts of weed going through, and we've already seen that here in Denver for a while, and it's been quite an amazing thing just because of the idea of security checks and the fact that people are walking through pretty much loaded to the gills with whatever they need and not only not getting hassled, but my friend had his deodorant in his bag and all of his hash and his other bits, and they literally like freaked out over the deodorant and then like we already through and we watched and we're like, oh no. And I literally was like ready to get on the phone with Warren. I was like, call Warren. We need some, it's going to happen right now. And then we saw them, give back all the hash but keep the deodorant. I was like, wow, times are changing, So this new policy from TSA is not too new to us, and it's also not too new to most of the states that have had, not recreational, but medical marijuana, and have been able to travel, between Rhode Island and say California, and that's the way it should be. It's basically people's personal possessions, and it should be able to be. It's like kind of weird if you're allowed to go from state to state and have medical, but you have to leave your medicine everywhere you go. That wouldn't make much sense. So, I mean, it's just kind of the normalization of cannabis, which I think is the cool thing we're getting to witness right now. Probably none of us really even thought about it too much because I don't think a lot of us really would have believed that it's getting to the point where the banks are now accepting it. It's getting, it's like, okay, we are, and now it's becoming a big investment thing too. So there's 420 investors, Jamin Shively, who's from Microsoft, who we've called before and will definitely be calling again to do little interviews with. He's got an investor group. You have ArcView, who's another investor group. And I'm hearing a few other ones now too, which is basically meaning that all of these ideas and these little, sort of gadgets around the industry and stuff, they're about to explode because there's real money coming in behind them. Up until this point, most things have been financed personally. People who have glass companies, they finance themselves. People don't get bank loans very often. Even as a clothing company like ourselves, we really can't get a bank loan because of the high risk in the clothing industry. So they don't want to. The bank doesn't want to get stuck with 2,000 purple jackets or something. So the normalization, which TSA is sort of proving by saying that they're going to allow people to transport small amounts of cannabis, is pretty giant. I mean, that's like to me that's like a step in not only the right direction but the kind of has to come direction.
Yeah.
And I think now the next problem is going to be more TSA guys probably just pinching your weed than anything, I would think, since they're going to be randomly checking it out. And if you have crappy weed, you probably won't get it taken, but try to take the cron through and they'll be all taxed, So I can see that being an issue down the road because it's pretty hard for them to prove one way or the other. So hopefully they don't go for that mode, but TSA hasn't been known to be the greatest, sort of people in the industry right now. What else we got for some news here? Yeah, actually, it's pretty funny. Is like now Texas is also even talking about. I mean, Texas is not maybe as the government of Texas is not talking about it, but the people there are definitely ready for it. There was another study recently saying that almost over half the people that they asked were in favor of legalization in Texas, which now that would be a huge step. Between Oklahoma and Texas, I don't think those are the two states that I think are the last ones on board. But it's they have alcohol, so. Even Oklahoma, who's a tough one, still has, it's not like the whole state is dry. So, what else we got? Come on, give us some news.
Some more excitingness. Excitingness, like the secret cup.
Yeah, and what else has been happening in this cannabis world has been,
have to obviously, you know, sitting here in this station, I have to definitely give out, you know, talked about Jenny a little bit too, because I think I was talking about this the other day that I think the Jenny Cush situation has helped out this whole community so much in the sense that I've seen people who, you know, really the infighting that was right before that whole thing was so huge that I'm just kind of grateful that a lot of good came out of it, and you know, I just continue to see good things being spread. It's really interesting to watch that. So I just want to give a shout out to, you know, obviously, and you know, feel real honored to be here, sitting here in the same spot, you know. So just want to do that at least once during the show, you know. But I also don't want to dwell on things because, you know, I'm trying to keep my things fresh. And so, yo.
What's going on?
Chillin'.
Is this the good one?
Oops.
Somebody's got stuff here. Yo.
So we got to drop in guests. That's what this show will always be about too.
Boom. Just came in at the right time. Just happened to be at the right place at the right time.
Here, introduce yourself there.
Emerge with Puff and Dab's custom torches. And I guess I came to their rescue with an emergency torch.
Yeah, we came unprepared today. Actually, I found a torch in my bag after, but I liked yours better, so it's like I left mine. Mine's all
Nice.
broke up.
It's a good way to get to use the torch, I guess. So I appreciate it.
Yep. So you're down here just chilling with the man himself, or
Oh yeah, for sure. Had
you
to
setting
hit
up shop down here pretty much, or are you planning on moving over to another addition to this lovely state, or?
Yeah, maybe we'll see. We'll see how everything works out. I don't want to, I don't want to let too many cats out the bag or whatever.
Sure.
But
Well,
but for sure we have some things in the works. So
You got a phone call.
sure. Bring it on. Hello there.
Hello.
Welcome to the Seedy Wednesday. Who am I talking to?
They hung up.
See that? Come on now.
we'll take a dab to that.
No, but what I've noticed with Denver, which happened in Amsterdam too, was that there was always this, like, you know, once you have a taste of freedom, if you're from a spot that, I mean, obviously you're not from a place that hasn't seen freedom, but when you come here, you definitely see the sort of future of like how it's going to be normalized, and I think that's what a lot of people are attracted to because they want to get their shit
Oh no,
in
I mean
line, you know.
definitely.
Oh, we have a call coming again. Hold
Ooh.
on. Hi there, you're on the air with Seedy Wednesday. Who am I talking to?
Hey, what's going on? This is Mike.
Hey, Mike, what's going down?
Yeah, not much, just here in New York. Suffering.
Suffering.
Boom.
That sucks.
Yeah.
I thought everything ended up in New York this year.
What?
Not yet. We're waiting another month and a half.
Yeah. It's that little lull before the storm there, you know.
Nice.
Got it. No, just listening to your show. I was listening to you when you used to be on the air with John Doe, and you got a lot of great information.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I tend to babble a lot, so sometimes I'm not sure if I'm even getting the information out there, but I had a few people who definitely came through. I'm glad that you guys joined us, because I wasn't sure if people were going to cross over too much or know that they could. But yeah, I'm going to try to get. I mean, if you ever have any real, personal, questions or whatever, definitely feel free to call in. I kind of want the show to be a lot of that because I think it's going to help. Because when normal people ask questions, like, instead of it just being coming from the industry or somebody plugging a product or something like that, I think that's when you get the same. Everyone's got a lot of the same problems, you know. That's what I've noticed. Because I'm always telling everybody, like, you can learn from where I screwed up. That's how it is.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest problems nowadays is that everybody gets their information on YouTube, especially a lot of the newbies, instead of being taught by people that have been doing it for 20 years.
Oh, for sure.
You get a lot of conflicting information.
Yeah, everybody's an expert now or a master grower just because they can look it up real quick. on their iPad or on their phone. Like it's almost like the skill of whoever's fastest on their phone is actually who's the smartest person in the room now. And you're like, well, that's actually not how it works. You're supposed to have the knowledge in your head first, not just bang it out. And it can change so quick, especially if somebody puts up some misinformation because they think they know what they're talking about and they didn't actually do it. That's the key. I mean, one of the things that I noticed with a lot of the authors, because when I lived in Amsterdam, I was lucky enough to sort of be surrounded by Rob Clark. He lived there, and then Ed would come into town, and Mel Frank would come into town, and then Jorge would be there, and so I have all these authors coming through, and it was like I could relay direct questions off of them, and it was like felt so like mind blowing sometimes, and a lot of times they didn't have the answers, and it was like they were kind of asked me. And it was like because I was actually doing it, and they were just more or less writing about it. And the reality is, the guy who's grinding away every day doing it, they got information that that no book has, because the book that information just happened yesterday. You know what I mean? So the book wasn't written yet. So those are the guys you really need to talk to.
Oh, absolutely. I was taught by a friend of yours that lives in New York City.
Nice.
I'm not going to say his name.
No, it's fine.
But, the sour D was his thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, he's a big asshole, probably.
That's a good word for him. That would be his nickname. But, yeah, I mean, he's taught me a lot. I mean, he's just an incredible grower, as you know.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, like, everybody's conditions are so different, too. So, like, if you're in New York and I'm in Denver, well, we don't really have the same conditions. Like, my room is dry all the time. Like if I spill something if I pour water all over the ground and walk back, I don't even care about mopping up half the time because I know it'll just disappear in about half hour. So I'm just like, whatever, dude. Like, give it a half hour, have a few smokes, see what happens, come back and grab the last of it.
Well, I mean, here in New York, if that happens in the wintertime, we don't have a problem. It's just in the summertime, the humidity's so high here.
Yeah.
Having to run dehumidifiers and stuff like
East
that.
Coast bubble.
Florida, man. Like that was crazy.
Florida.
We had nothing but moist flowers everywhere.
I mean, even in Cali, which is weird because Cali's dry, but then there's so many pockets of moisture, and if you're close to the coast, it's different than if you're in the in the inland, and so that's why I think it's really obviously a lot of the information is pretty general, but you can get real specific, especially when you're talking about different conditions and different spots. Like here, I think the biggest problem in Colorado, it's not so the growing isn't a problem at all. It's the drying that's really most people's problem. Everybody here is like either they're letting it get too dry, obviously because of it, or they're overcompensating to try to make it not too dry, and then they've ruined it that way too. So I think that's kind of one of those probably the most misunderstood parts of the whole process because it's so different everywhere, and also like if you open your jar and it just sucks in, you know what I mean, and then you're like, oh, okay, well that's not the same as it was. You almost need like a self-stabilizing jar that would kind of regulate itself at all times.
we like to do at least a 12 to 14 day dry.
Yeah.
About day 7, day 8, we like to raise the humidity. And then, keep it at a certain level and let it go that extra 5-6 days. We find that it just takes out that greenness.
Yeah.
Incredibly, but I
do you guys brown bag it a little bit in between too, or?
Yeah, no,
here
would be way too much a brown bag. But I mean, it's like I try to tell people that, and they're like, "Nah, 5 to 7 days, that's good." And I put it in a jar or a turkey bag, and I'm like, "You're missing out. That's why your stuff's only a B- and it's not an A+."
Right. No, and it's to go in the extra mile, and that's only like we're talking like 6 to 8 days. Isn't a big deal. Should be able to pull that off.
And I mean, it all depends what you're doing with it too, because I mean, we love making hash out here, so. It's it's a whole other ideal curing process for that too. I mean, I've even gotten flowers out here where before we can run it or whatever, we gotta cure it ourselves for a couple of days.
Yeah. No, it's getting. You'll see here. It's it's definitely people are so concentrate orientated too, though. That kind of bums me out when it comes to the grows because I've seen a really slump in quality as far as people caring anymore, because their idea is like, it's just pre-run, whatever.
No. You got to start with something that's amazing. I mean, to me, it's got to be like top shelf, nug or whatever for it to be prize-winning Earl in a sense or whatever.
Well, the key to the whole thing is that it's quality always cream rises. That's how I always tell everybody with cannabis, and everyone's all worried about big companies coming in and stealing they're going to come and take it all. And I'm like, they won't, because it's a pain in the ass to make it right, because you got to put that extra energy into it. And it's just like going that extra mile sometimes is hard, because it is like, why do I want to open it up 10 times when I could just do it once, and it's like, no, you need to burp that stuff.
Especially with the price drops and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And then people are like, they're balancing their thing, and they're saying, well, just going to...
But I mean, you had a great term that I use often now, and that's the term you say, qualitarian.
Yeah, qualitarian.
I mean, you should copyright that. Copyrighted that.
Thanks.
That's my new term.
Nice. Yeah, because it's reality. It's like, you always want to follow the most the healthiest path when it comes to food and weed. Basically, that's my thing. It's like I'm not out exercising. Obviously, I'm not I can't call myself a health nut, but I can say that I have always tried to smoke the best and eat the best, because that's kind of going into your body, you know what I mean? So it's a reality. You don't want to eat garbage or smoke garbage.
I don't like anything but mine and our mutual friends down in the city there.
Yeah,
I can't smoke anybody else's shit.
It's funny too. It's funny because Amsterdam was like 21 years I was there, and I think I bought weed in a coffee shop probably about 2 or 3 times, and that was it. The rest of it, I brought it to the coffee shops, but I didn't actually ever buy it at the coffee shop. Even when sometimes I try to trade out a little bit, and I was usually disappointed and just like, well, whatever, I'm back to my own thing.
See, I got brokenhearted by that too, because I had a friend that had gone to Amsterdam, and he went 4 times back when I was living in Florida, and he came back and he's like, the weed you get me is stronger and it's better, and I was like, no, I want to go out there for the coffee shops. I was like, I haven't been. I'm like, seriously, don't ruin this for me and tell me that what I'm getting is already better.
Yeah, no, that was usually the big statement I had from people coming into my shop. I have a clothing store. It's not a weed place. So then everyone felt free to talk about how much better their weed was than all the other weed they've smoked since they've been there. Nice. And I'd be like, yeah, and then I usually pull something out, and they'd be like, now that's what I've been looking for. And it's like, it's always there. It's just... It's such a commercial thing over there that people now understand it over here, because people have this term for dispensary weed, which it doesn't mean it's good. It's like that doesn't. If you say it's dispensary weed, you're like,
it doesn't mean it's the best.
It's like, because it has to go through so many hands to get to the final person, and that's how it is when you've already probably figured out your room. Like 3 weeks before your harvest, you're already like, that's mine, and that's mine, and that's mine. And the rest, So you know what you want, and you've, cherry picked it out, and then that's pretty much how. Usually, that's probably how people don't make money selling cannabis, because they tend to fall in love with every bud. You can't stop. You're like, I don't know, now that one.
I mean, I found a couple little spots or like little dispensaries where they're like mom and pop joints, where these people are like really taking care of their stuff themselves and just have so much pride in it that it's beautiful. It's a beautiful product, and I'd gladly buy it from them.
Yeah, dude, you gotta check out the Mountain Weed. It's dispensaries here definitely have a nice.
Mountain's got interesting stuff. It's all high altitude, and they've got some pretty some things over 9,000 feet. You find some really weird things going down, like
awesomeness.
Like there's super high resin, weird growth, maybe not the best bud structure, but the structure of the trikes is pretty intense. You're like, well, not bad up here. Just the yields are usually a bit rough too. But they have a few. They can find stuff, but it's very like hit and miss. Doesn't mean everything down low will work up high.
Yeah, that's true.
Can I ask you one question, Adam?
Sure.
When is your hemp lab online store going to be up? Because I have 3 of your jackets. I got the classic. I have the 420 summer jacket. I got a sweatshirt from you guys.
Yeah.
Waiting for it to open up because I want to order some more things.
Nice. We're going to have.
Going to open.
Yeah, we're going to have around the 21st, I think it is. 21st of this month is going to be kind of our official launch date for the new site. Nice. And then there's going to be
November 1st. Will be the Superstore launch.
Yeah, we'll have, because we're going to have the online part is going to be run from a different spot. So we're going to have it's going to kind of ramp up. I think it'll actually be able to be purchased around the 2nd of November. But it'll be up and running, and you can kind of check it all out on the 21st.
Are you going to carry the 3Xs, 3XLs?
Oh, yeah, we got 3Xs, and I think there was even a plan for 4X, but not this year.
I'm not that big.
No. You can work your way up, though. You got.
No, I got everything. I have is 3. Well, actually, the summer 420 jacket I have is 2X. I can't really wear that but the 3X Classic is
Nice.
so
See,
tight.
I know what it's like to suffer, not be able to find those good sizes, but I've worked my way down. I used to be 4X, and I've worked my way down to I can actually wear a single X, but I prefer a 2X. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Well, the one thing was back in the day when we first started our company, we were real lucky because it was around '93, and like American hip hop clothing was pretty much running things at that point. So everybody had huge pants, and it was all, everything was like, it had to be giant, and it was triple, quadruple, and people wanted bigger and bigger and bigger. So we were always like gearing our stuff towards that, and then it kind of like, it's funny because we're in Europe and everybody over there is like completely opposite. So our customer base was pretty much Americans coming over to buy clothes off of us in Europe, and then the Europeans started to dig what we were doing, and then all of a sudden the Americans all started wearing skinny pants, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, I can't keep up.
The snowboarders are still keeping up the large shirts though, man. Like I know when I moved here or whatever, like a dude was like, "Oh, you got your shirt or whatever," and I looked at him and I'm like, "Yeah, what do you need, a medium?" You know what I'm saying? And he was like, "No, you have like a 2X," and I was like, "Are you serious?" And he was like, "Yeah, tall tees, long tees, man. It's like the snowboarder style, Denver." I'm like, all right. I was like, no, thanks for introducing me, I guess.
Same with my friend from LA who comes over, a little Vietnamese kid, and he would always get like 4Xs and 3Xs, and I'm like, dude, you weigh like 90 pounds. Are you kidding me? You know what I mean? He's like, no, that's the way you got to wear it, And I'm just like, all right. And yeah, so to each his own. I'm not going to tell anybody how to wear their clothes. I mean, we have guys buying girls' clothes in my store. I got it all. So
nice.
All good.
All right, guys. I'll let you get
Hey, Mike, thanks for calling. Thanks for calling, and we'll be on a week. Yeah.
Tell your California friends to stop sending us such crap.
I will for sure. And for sure, give us a call and give us an update on New York and tell us how much it's improved in the next couple weeks, hopefully.
All right.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks. Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.
Adios.
So, yeah, you can see it's changing where the East Coast, I mean, back in the day when I was a kid, I'd bring back weed from LA or it was from Big Sur, but I'd bring it back and blow everyone's minds because they were just smoking swag, most of them, you know what I mean? And I was just like, occasionally, that was my whole introduction to the reality of realizing that you want to be the guy with the best weed in the room, because even though I was only like 15 years old, I was like just killing everybody. I'd come in and all the parents of the kids would be like, how come that kid has better weed than us? And we're the parents of this kid, I had cool friends, but none of them really had the quality. And then by introducing that, and then it just was like a kind of awakening that, it's definitely it's almost like when you're a good chef, you realize that that's a good connection to meet people because everybody eats food, you know what I mean? And now everybody smokes weed, so it's turned into the perfect way to round it up.
And everybody's admitting to it now. Like before, it's like everybody did it, but nobody wanted to admit to it. Now everybody wants to cop to it.
Yeah, I don't exhale. Everyone's going back in time. Like, no, I
originated this
back in the 80s.
Oh, but back to your that question you were hitting me before the phone call. Yeah, no, like I definitely loved moving to Denver. I moved here January 1st from Florida. And it was straight up best move of my life. Went from being a criminal since I was 13 years old, basically, to being a medical patient. So I was just like, man, this is the best thing I ever. Got stopped, and everything, After St. Patty's Day, they were like, "Oh, are you drinking?" I'm like, "Nope, don't drink. That's not what I do." So, I mean,
I think it's going to be like this place is definitely got a magnetic pull based on the fact that you feel especially if you're coming from a city atmosphere or urban sort of vibe. You come here and it's like there's just within a half an hour in every direction you've got something really like outdoorsy and things you normally wouldn't do, and you get to see people out of their element. Sometimes it's quite funny. Guys come in straight from New York and they're out hiking and they got the worst shoes on and you're just like, what's this guy doing? It's like, oh wow, they just haven't. To them, that's the same as if somebody here goes to New York and
what I really loved when I moved here is it still definitely had the city vibe, and definitely I was all about the hip hop, so I definitely loved had a definitely awesome hip hop scene, and graffiti scene was definitely popping off or whatever everywhere. So I was just like, man, this definitely feels like it could be my home.
Well, the thing is now too, what you realize is what I liked about Amsterdam and what I like about Denver, the same vibe, is that because of the weed, a lot of bands are changing they all want to come here. Like, it doesn't matter, even if they didn't sell one record here, they're going to come and play. Like, it doesn't matter. They don't care, you know what I mean? Like, they're just
That's the legal state. I want to be there.
we have to go there. So you'll get, like, incredibly, great music. That's one of the things, the reason when I first came here, which is 2010, I just kind of rolled in. I went to Cervantes and was like, watched kids on the dance floor smoking bubblers, and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. It's like, even in Amsterdam, they don't let you roll in with your bubbler and start smoking on the dance floor. I was like, that's pretty dope. And then, not that they let you, but they definitely didn't not
Stop
let
you.
you.
Yeah.
And so I could really see that this place had the vibe. Plus, also, they have a big EDM scene here, which I like because I lived in Europe for so long. So I was kind of always like, I don't know if I could live here. They don't have this and they don't have that. But now they have everything that I had there, and even better because I can entertain now when the people come from Europe to come here, their minds are blown, because like they've seen my store in Amsterdam, and then they come to my shop here and they're like, wow, this is even better than your store there, as far as you have, a lot more ability to throw big events. And over there it was kind of like every square inch counts, you know
Had
what I
to
mean?
be maximized, yeah.
I had to like cut holes in the wall just to make more room because I was like, I need more room, So I was like cutting holes downstairs and like, look, there's a little cubby hole behind here, and
I can use this.
Exactly. So I mean, when I got here, I was like really like appreciating the space,
Oh yeah, it's definitely good to have nice space. I mean, for the first, I think 4 months or 5 months I was here, I was pretty much like working out of the apartment. So until I actually got like a real shop and workspace out here, I was just like,
And where's your spot now?
We're actually right up there, just north of the city or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to keep it secluded because I really, I really tell people, I was like, it's, I like my privacy, man. Like when I work, I don't like to be bothered. I don't really, what I'm saying? Like I don't want a bunch of people hanging out,
Yeah, it definitely doesn't help unless they're doing all the grind work for you, and then it's okay. But I doubt it.
Yeah. There's usually only like one person. My girl's usually the only one helping me out, so it's
Sure.
like, whatever. I'm good with that.
Well, I was mentioning earlier, and maybe this is something for you to think about, is that there's a lot of startup people now who are putting out pretty big money for cannabis-related ideas, and I was naming a couple. ArcView's one of them that's out of California. That's with Stevie D and those guys, and that's their sort of start. So basically, they're just looking for people with ideas, but maybe they need capital. And then there's and then there's a couple other new ones that are like it's like now people feel comfortable with investing in those, because before it was like, oh, this industry is so shady, and now they realize, no, it's not. It's actually going fully legit.
Yeah.
So if you're ever thinking about going, you might want to put together yourself like a nice little business plan package, because I think there's a lot of people coming to Denver looking for ideas to make money. That's all they want. So
Yeah, definitely.
if you're on that, I would say it's kind of a good time to start thinking about it. Because I think it's going to be like the.
Look at this. I'm about to go back in time.
There you go.
This is what we call flowers, or if you really want to be an ass, we call it pre-run.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, pre-run.
Yeah, pre-run.
That's something we don't actually say in Colorado yet, so it's luckily. But
this is that pre-run. The funny thing is, these days I look at beautiful flowers and I'm just like, oh, I love this so much. And then people are like, yeah, you want to smoke some? I'm like, nah, man, I want to make hash with this.
Yeah. Well, the reality of cannabis in general, though, is that most places in the world smoked hash, and that's one of the fun things to watch this whole emerging market here, is that people here don't really most people don't think of their product in a finished form. They think of it either in a flower form. Some people think of it in an oil form, but even in an oil form, it's not always 100%. Like, then somebody else is going to look at it and think that they would take it a step further, you know what I mean, and turn it into an acetate or doing something else. So there's always going to be the next level up, but the key to the whole thing is that flowers really are where it all comes from. So,
oh yeah, you can't forget. You definitely can't forget where it comes from, and that it's all about that starting material. I mean, like, I remember kids back in the day, it was like, oh, we got a bunch of crappy weed, let's make brownies. It's like, dude, you're just going to make a bunch of crappy brownies. It's not really, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that's the That's the sort of myth that people have, is that they can take some sort of moldy weed and it's going to magically transform into like golden, flowery tasting. But you realize you're concentrating.
Whatever's bad, whatever's bad is getting constant. You're extracting whatever's bad is coming with it too.
The good and the bad, it's all coming out, and it's all going to end up in the wash. So
I had to do like judging for the cannabis cup, and I'm gonna tell you right now, bro. Like to me, it was sad because I was new to Denver, and they allowed me to be a cannabis cup judge or whatever, the High Times Denver Cannabis Cup. So I was excited. I was like, man, this is gonna be thrilling. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I had some entries in there where I could taste that it was, like material that had been sitting in a garbage bag collecting mildew or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
And which categories were you?
I did mixed hash.
Okay.
U.S. mixed hash or whatever.
And so that is meaning that it's...
That it had everything. I had even CO2 in there, which I'm not really a big fan of or whatever. Mm-hmm. And bubble hash. I like bubble hash, but, it really has to be really well made. Like, there's only been a couple of people that I've met that make like fully, dabbable.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the thing. And what's interesting though with it's there's only a few strains actually that work like that too.
Yeah, because they have to be oily enough to.
Yeah, like a sour does work because they have that gooey.
And it's got to be like you have to grow that thing where it's super resiny.
But in general, I'm not a big fan of dabbing water.
Yeah, I'd rather off a screen,
Yeah,
just hash pipe, old school hash pipe.
It has a totally different vibe. Like what happens is it never reaches its peak. It just kind of it goes like you almost get there and then it dies. But and then the same product you hit it with just a light flame and then it's like, oh, there's the flavor, and it's really strange because it's also how the resin collects differently between one and the other. That also kind of trips me out, even though I know why it's doing it, is because one is actually burning and it's turning into tar and it's sticking to the side, and the other one is just melting your shit, so it's coming down and it's actually highly activated.
Right.
And you could use it and get people blazed more than they ever thought they would, even though it seems gross. It actually doesn't even taste as bad because it's not ever burned. It just melted down. That's why it's got to where it got. So it's interesting. It's different. You end up with different sort of trash.
Oh yeah, for sure.
One's usable and one is definitely not. But the funny part is most people don't use the usable. And almost everybody at one point in their life scraped out a bong and fucking tried to smoke that resin.
I know, that's so crazy. Right now, my thing is we actually take, because I make so much reclaim in a piece, I actually take hot water and clean out the pieces with hot water and take the reclaim, run it through the vac and whatnot, and actually use it to cook with.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Because it's highly activated, so it works really strong.
Yeah, it's amazing or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the thing is but it's sort of like very few people do.
Well, and it's hard to make. Like, I literally in a piece in a few sessions can make 3 grams of reclaim.
I know, it's crazy how fast, because it's the better it is, the faster it comes.
And as hard as I glob, man, like I definitely, I'm sitting there taking half grammars even when I'm baby dabbing, So I'm just, filling the piece up with reclaim.
Nice.
I get accused of wasting so much, but I'm going to tell you right now, none of it's pouring over the nail, man. It's all getting vaped and going into my lungs.
What is this? What's tangy?
Uh-oh.
Don't start with the tangy, you little... Your sidekick, not a shit stirrer.
It's tasty.
Man, did you just give him like his role or whatever? Like, did he just get put in his place? Is that what just happened?
Yeah, I'm a sidekick.
Yeah, he's on his first day as a sidekick.
So. I mean, did he just pretty much go, I'm Batman and you're Robin right there? Like, I'm going to tell you right now, dead serious, I had a conversation with a guy I was friends with or whatever, and he pissed me off so much about getting him weed down in Florida, and I was like out with a girl and stuff, and I told him that. Like, I called him and I was pissed off, and I was like, listen, motherfucker, if anything, I'm Batman and you're Robin, okay? So
just get it straight.
Jump on your motorcycle and ride out. Oh, this is my favorite part of the day, when you see titanium start to glow. Which is pretty much most of the day.
I didn't give him a little gram dot glab, though.
That's nice.
There you go, a little silence before.
Almost tastes like like fruit striped gum almost. It's pretty good. It's very fruity.
Nice.
Super tasty.
Yeah, it's this is the original Tange here from here, not the
Really?
not the Tangy, which is a big confusion, which has caused waves around the world.
Well, Tangy and the Jilly Bean or whatever, the Jilly, are the two that
I'm not saying anything.
yeah, they're you know what I'm saying, like honestly, when you make hash out of them, if you dab them on a nail that's too hot, they actually taste like garlic orange chicken. So they're bad to me. I do not prefer those strains. And what you just let me try tasted like Tang or you know, like fruit strike gum, and that nail was pretty hot. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, thanks. Thank you.
That's amazing. I mean, I would want to get a hold of that strain right there.
It was a favorite strain that I found in Colorado.
It actually tastes like a tangerine. I mean, really does have a very tangerine taste to it.
Well, that's one of those deals where, you know, I think.
Can we do that again?
Sure. That's one of those deals where I think the key to a good strain, in my opinion, is something that delivers whatever you think it's going to deliver. You know, like even when I did bubblegum back in the day, it wasn't exactly the bubblegummy flavor that it wasn't like bubblegum. It tasted like dank fucking hardcore indica. Really, is what it was. And the only reason we called it bubblegum was because it was very spongy and it didn't want to ever stick or get ever dry. And it was like,
I think
it didn't. But people right away were like, tastes like Bazooka Joe, and I'm like, you have absolutely no. You have no idea what smell and taste are. I think.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I mean,
it's like roadkill right there.
Yeah, I mean, I could taste like such subtleties or whatever that usually if somebody lets me try a strain, like, and they're like, oh, this is blue cheese, I can tell if the strain is more dominant to the, you know, blueberry side or whatever to the cheese side, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm very particular about, you know, taste wise or whatever what I'm getting in. I definitely like I said, you know, I've tried a bunch of different people's Jillies and a bunch of people's Tanges and it's good, but you know, to me, like I said, if you just hit it on a nail that's a little too hot, you know, there's this garlic orange chicken taste that comes through, and it's definitely not acceptable when you're dabbing.
I'm a vegetarian, so for me, garlic is great, but the chicken part. I like garlic. I don't know. I can deal with it. It's weird because.
But even garlic, I mean, you really want to dab garlic?
No, not necessarily, but it does seem potent, though, doesn't it? No, the thing is that there is such a spectrum of flavors and smells and things. And that's kind of like my favorite thing too, is to connect the dots. You know what I mean? You're like, sometimes it's a real weird connection too. It's like, that tasted like this with that, and then you're like, that never had that flavor in my mind, you know. But it was
usually I try to think more base, you know, like try to think, oh, that tasted like lemons, or that tasted like, you know, try to relate it to fruit flavor or whatever flavor. Like, oh, that tasted like vanilla, or that's a soapy taste, or that, you know.
Well, what's really weird is I had somebody made some dabs recently, and when we first tried it, it was super soapy. Like, it was like, dude, did you flush these things, or like, is this neem or something? So what is going down? It was so sharp. And then about 24 hours later, it kind of disappeared. And it was just like, but it was so, at first it was like the old, it reminded me back in like the 80s when people would stash shit in like a right guard thing or something.
Oh, God.
And it would get contaminated.
Ajax.
It's like the worst.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the worst thing you could do is put it near anything like it's going to suck into.
But it's funny you said that. We actually ran a strain or whatever, and it tasted like that at first. When you first tasted it or whatever, right out of the vac, it tasted like Tide, or, you know, like some kind of detergent or whatever. And I was like, man, I wonder if there was something still in this material or whatever. And then, you know, like a day and a half later or whatever, it basically, like, the flavor of it like mellowed out and meshed out, and then it had like almost like a fruity but piney taste or whatever. And it was just like, oh wow, what, you know, like what happened, you know?
No, and that's the thing. It's the classic story of the last bud, or the last piece of a dab tastes so much better than the first one because it just had time to cure out, you know what I mean? And it's always those little critical days, like between the you know, maybe it takes you, say, 5 days to smoke an ounce or something, and it's on the 5th day it starts to taste awesome, you know what I mean? Because you're like, damn, now it's perfect, because of it's also because of the jar. I think it has a lot to do with the air to weed ratio.
Word.
So when you have a full jar, it could sit like that for a while. But the minute it starts to get down, the air starts to everything's just going quicker.
Right.
And unless you're like extracting the air every time, which nobody does.
Nobody's doing
nobody's doing.
Nobody's putting it in a vacuum.
Every single time you want to open it and close it. But you know, if you
I even found that we took certain strains or whatever, like especially if we did a mixed run of like 2 strains in the same tube or whatever, to get the flavors to mesh, not even under vacuum, after it was fully vacuumed or whatever and all that, to actually just put it under heat again for like 4 to 6 hours or whatever under low temperature or whatever.
Just to kind of stabilize
as a curing, it was like a curing process, and it actually got the flavors to mesh better.
Right.
And, I mean, it was
Makes
pretty.
sense. It's like almost like when you're annealing glass and you have to keep it you're putting it into the, you know, when you put it into the kiln,
at a high
it's just
temperature
because it was a super high temperature. Now it's just kind of at a medium high temperature, but it's still fucking high. But then all the
temperature changes
and all the ions balance out, and basically what happens is instead of it being all sporadic because they've just been stuck together, and now they're not really one. By annealing it, similar to like making pasta, leaving it overnight. You know, what I mean, it doesn't taste good the first. You know, you go crazy.
Definitely. Lasagna is definitely
you
better.
You get heartburn the night before because you ate it too fast, but then the next day it tastes bomb, and you never get it because it needs time to settle. You know, there's certain and with weed, with everything that's quality needs a certain moment to kind of balance. You know, very rarely do you find something that just is like that. You know what I mean? Like if you make something and it's instant, then it's probably not ready. Not ready, you know what I mean?
Instant gratification is not always the best.
I haven't found too many things that are like that. Usually things that are really slow. It's like slow cooking.
Yeah, definitely.
All that.
For sure.
So, any good news over there, Largo?
No, I was just seeing what they were writing.
It's like total stoner moves. Like, are you actually reading? Like, I just wanted to see what they were writing. I just totally wanted to see what they were going to say.
Just to find some dramatic news here.
In dramatic news.
You know, you need the gopher. You're like, you know, the gopher.
Hang on.
Dramatic gopher.
He's like, hang on. I'm going to get it 1 second.
Wow.
It's totally coming up.
I think next week we're going to have this a little more organized because I'll actually have some things written. Now, luckily you came, otherwise we'd still be just kind of floundering.
Nice.
See?
Well, in better news, everybody's got to look forward to the Secret Cup coming up in Denver here.
Exactly.
Sure.
I was just sort of announcing it. It's kind of hard because it's one of those, like, you know, until...
it's a secret.
It's kind of like, it's like saying the, you know...
Yeah, the cup of...
Don't tell...
It's a secret. Man, but everybody that's in the know knows what's up, and if they're listening, they know what's up.
Fight Club.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about Fight Club? I'm actually allowed. They gave me a pin, and they were like, you can talk about the Secret Cup.
Well, good. Apparently it's being held at some awesome location, I heard.
Yeah, that's the secret. See, that's where the secrets get down or whatever. Like, nobody really knows where it's at yet or what's popping up, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's definitely going to be big, I heard. Or it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
I think we might even compete.
Nice. Yeah, I just these things I just like to judge. I'm like, give me the judge.
Well, that's the trick with this thing, man. Like to,
I know you get to
judge.
Both.
To judge, you have to compete or whatever.
Yeah, no,
so
I think that's actually the best
to
formula.
do it proper. Yeah, like I your peers or whatever. I think that's probably the best way. One of the most honest for sure. You know what I'm saying? I'm definitely looking forward to see what everybody thinks of it. You know. So we're excited.
Yeah, no, it's going to be, and I think that's a great formula because it's also like you don't feel like that's one of the problems of doing any cup. I've entered a lot, and I always feel, I wouldn't say cheated, but I feel like cheated for my own weed because it's always my favorite. It's like that's my head stash going into the cup every single time. There's never been a time when I've been like, oh, this is grown for the cup, and I have my head stash. It doesn't work that way. It's always.
This is my head stash that's going to the cup.
Pretty much. And then that was my, when I did the leaf blower the first time, that was kind of like the whole concept of it was, since I have to smoke all my weed anyway, then I might as well just do it in a fun way and be part of it instead of it just going into this kind of vacuumous hole.
I've seen this or whatever.
And you're like, wow, that's a lot of weed.
I saw somebody do a dab version of it now or whatever, and I was like, man, I would just want to like stand in front of that. Because I think still, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think anybody's taken a bigger dab than me. I think 4 grams or whatever is still the record for biggest dab. And
I don't know. I've seen some really lame videos that people were making a big mess.
oh yeah, no, I mean I saw some hilarious ones. I saw one where it says 6 gram dab, and I got excited. I was like, somebody beat me, and they had this guy come out, and he was like dressed up like a monk or something, and I was like, dude, this dude is like really focused. He's like the ninja of dabbing. He's fucking gonna school me, you know? And then he sits down. And they're like dabbing off some kind of like knockoff electronic nail, and
It's not hot enough.
And it's not hot enough. And on top of that, there's like a plume coming off the top of it, and he never actually finishes even 2 of the grams or whatever. And he passes off to like the 2 guys next to him or whatever. And I'm just like, where did they dab 6 grams? Like, I don't even think they dabbed 6 grams between the 3 of them.
Yeah. No. I mean. You got to have a really, really good rig to keep the temperature going, and you also have to have some skill, and you have to have some timing, and you have to be able to do a little internal circular breathing techniques.
Definitely,
that's always the key to the thing. You
You
got to be able to stack your smoke, you know. So.
For sure. I mean, there's definitely like, I'm not gonna say that there isn't a lot of technique involved in doing what we do or whatever when it comes to taking a big, enormous, hit like that or whatever, but. Yeah, I mean, some people are just scared of the aftermath, really, more than anything.
I think it's similar to like any kind of quality thing. So if you have good quality dabs, it's pretty easy to take giant rips.
Here's the thing.
I've seen some people do some dirty dabs, and you're like, wow.
Yeah, but there's a borderline between that, because like when you're dabbing like the best of somebody's nug run versus dabbing, trim. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's super clean or whatever. When you're dabbing, somebody's entry for a secret cup, and you're doing 4 grams, because that's what I actually did both times or whatever. Like both days I did the 4 gram dabs or whatever. They were actually the guy's entry for the secret cup. So, I mean, you're talking about nug run stuff. I mean, it's not like the potency on this stuff is so serious that, like, yeah, no, I was totally tripping balls for sure. Like, there was no question about that.
But there is a ceiling that you always hit too. So there's like the one thing I've always noticed with everything. It's like, probably the hardest part would be the chest expansion part more than anything, because at a certain point you're just you're gonna go like, all right, well, I have achieved maximum THC potency, that's it. It's when you smoke. What I like with smoking, it's like subtle enough that you can, like, if you do a 24-hour day, like just raging hard or whatever and smoking the whole day, you're totally straight from. You're not high after like about the 12th hour or something. You're just like, this whatever, dude. And everyone else is just dropped like flies. But you build like a resistance to it almost. And it's not bad, because it just means you got to smoke more weed. But
yeah, for sure.
You just got to have it. If you don't have it, then it turns into
it's still like I can definitely still reach different levels, because people are like, oh, you can't, like, oh, you don't get stoned anymore. I'm like, nah, totally. And I'll go to events like Dabs at Denver or whatever, and consume, like, in the 6 hours I was there, I think 20 grams or something like that, something ridiculous, Right. So it was just, it's a nutty thing or whatever, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's definitely for somebody, especially like maybe in the East Coast or somewhere where they're just finally getting their first little dab to try or whatever. To them, it might be a bit crazy, but. Like I said, quality is the deal. If you're smoking quality product, you can pretty much do. I don't care how big of a dab you do. It's not going to. The only thing it can do is put you down. Like,
and I've suffered both. Like being out there
and photographed, and then there goes your whole deal.
Oh,
it's done.
Boom. It's funny because the only picture anybody has where they could, like, even try to use it or claim it or whatever would be from the San Francisco High Times house when I was judging edibles, and
I'll knock you down.
I had about 5,000 milligrams in me in about 4 hours time or whatever. So yeah, like I wanted to take a nap for sure.
That one?
Yeah, I think that's definitely the one right there. He pulled up the video. This is epic. Oh, this is awesome. How many grams did he say it was?
5.
5. Yeah, it wasn't even 6. It was 5. It's crazy because the chunk that he's holding doesn't even look close to the size of the 4 gram chunk that I haven't. Like, it took up half of the palm of my hand or whatever, and it was like a 1/4 inch thick. Oh man, I forget we're on radio here for a second, so it's like we're all quiet or whatever. We're all just watching it.
Tell everybody what it is. 5 gram
Email,
butter dab.
butter dab of 5 grams.
And it's
And
butter
it's
fingers.
failing.
It's more like Butterfingers.
I mean, you're just watching a plume of smoke coming out. Like, they're not pulling anything into the piece or whatever. It's so sad.
I feel like I inhaled more off my Ninja dab.
Yeah, it's
So
Wasted.
and watch, it's not even. Look, he's done.
They're just burning it.
They're just dropping it. The guy's not even.
Damn.
Yeah, it's a little too casual. See, I used to do a thing called the Trichrome Challenge back in '93. That was my bong challenge back when I had a graphics. I just had a graphics tube, and that was my competition piece. You can turn that down. It was my competition.
If you
piece.
want, look up the eMerge takes a 4 gram dab on YouTube.
Yeah.
We can even criticize that one on air.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can put it on. I can put it on. Just hold on. I can put it
nice.
on because we show it on.
Okay, there you go. He's going to put it on. So people can
nice.
see better.
Technology.
But
We'll let
so
we'll
anyway,
let the
with
world
the
criticize.
Trichrome Challenge, I had some simple rules, and that was basically you could take as much time as you wanted to get the smoke up the tube, right? So you could, and the idea was that if you're smart, you're going to make sure you
leave
kind
enough.
of hit a little hard at first to kind of, and then you need to kind of feather it, and get it up right. And if you don't do that, you're going to fail, because what happens is everybody just kind of goes straight in, starts hitting, pulls it, and just choked and coughed. Because what we would do is we'd load it with trikes. So it was the Trichrome Challenge.
Yeah.
So it was 1993. It was before there was any water hash. So
It's basically what we called key for.
yeah, and I was just using the pollinator. Had the first one at my spot. Had the very, very first pollinator from Mila. She brought it to my place, and I had it for 6 months. And I used to sit around and just run 30-second runs of hash and just take the best and the best, and then give everyone else the bottom.
Oh, that's not the one. That's on stage taking like a 2 gram dab with Tass Rock or something.
But,
There's more than one YouTube video. That's the one right there, the second one.
Second one. But then the reality was that the rules were real simple. It was you could take as much time as you wanted to bring it up the tube. Then you had to clear the chamber in one shot. Hold it for and then you hold it for the remainder, or basically hold it for 10 seconds, right? So 10-second hold, exhale, and then it was 50 seconds of retaining your composure. And that was the fun part, because everything was on video. So
Word.
people would think they were cool, and then all of a sudden it was like, and then it had snots coming out, and we had, reversed it back. And
Nice.
it was awesome. It was I had a good 200 or 300 people on this video. It was a great one. I'll get a copy one day for everybody.
All right, here you go.
There you go.
Boom. There's the first chunk, about a gram. There's the second gram getting dropped on there. It's funny because in part of the video, a piece of it falls off, and I asked them to pick it up. I'm like, oh, I don't want to miss out on any of this. Make sure to grab that.
Did you get nice cat hairs on there too?
Probably. It was at the Hash Mansion in LA for the Secret Cup, so it was a pretty nice house. So I don't know. It might have had some pet hair, for sure.
Or some unshaven vag hair from some other party.
For sure.
Some old 70s hairs there.
Boom. I mean, I'm not coughing. I'm casual, just chilling.
Retain your composure. That's what I'm saying. That's my whole deal. As long as you don't, it was so the bodily fluids were no good. Hacking, coughing, sneezing. I don't care what you do. You can't do it. No
So check it out.
I'm no good for those things.
No, I wouldn't even. I would actually make you do it, but I wouldn't.
The thing the video doesn't show is, and this is what everybody asked me, they're like, oh, so you were done for the day, right? And I was like, no, 30 minutes later, I was trying somebody else's entry because I had just gotten to that house. I had just gotten to the hash house, and I ran into D, and I was like, dude, I had a terrible airplane ride. Life fucking sucks. I want to dab, and I want to dab hard. So he's like, oh, here, dab a gram of this to show off for this guy. Boom. So I took that dab. He's like, oh, you see this guy? He can take gram dabs. Take a gram dab for this guy. Boom. So, I mean, before I had even gone into the house to take that 4 gram dab, I'd already taken 3 grams. And I had just gotten there. You know what I'm saying? And then 30 minutes later, I was dabbing again. I told people, I was like, yeah, not so big. You know what I'm saying? Definitely after the 4 gram dab, I was just like, yeah, little one,
Wow.
But, I mean,
got that on video.
30 minutes later, I was.
I just keep repeating it. Look, I got him. He keeps saying little, a little smaller.
But it's funny now because
I can't dab.
I got like haters that hate on the Instagram when they see me dabbing or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, I see a little smoke coming from the," and I laugh or whatever, and you know, it's just like the.
No, I mean, I was watching. That's the thing is when I'm doing so much judging of people smoking weed before people really thought there was a point of that, I guess.
Before the Dab Olympics.
Exactly. Way before all that happened, I'm pretty good at figuring out whether it's just a fluke because of the way that things, angles or whatever, just the first little plume, you couldn't pull it in, or if it's just you're failing miserably, which is when you watch when it's coming back off the bowl and it's fail. I love to fail people too. That was my favorite part. It was like, it was like one after another, like done.
My favorite for people who want to challenge me to a dab off is now to get them to dab off of an e-nail. And like we're like, okay, we'll just do a half gram dab off an e-nail. Let's see how that goes. And half gram off an e-nail, I mean, it just burns so slow.
Exactly.
And you're like forever, whatever, that it's like taking a gram and a half or whatever.
On a hot nail.
On a hot nail or whatever. So yeah, it's definitely, it's like a death sentence or whatever. And every time anybody pulls up and they want to challenge me and I don't even think they have the reserve to get at me, I'm like, all right, let's just go ahead and do a half gram on an e-nail. Here, I'll show you how it's done. Actually, you know what? I'll do a gram, watch. And I'll make a fat snake and just kill a gram and just sit there blowing out plumes of smoke and fill up an entire room. They're just like, oh wow. I'm like, all right, here's your half gram. And that's never a success.
So it's always about a quarter of it left or something.
If they're nice enough to pull off, most of them drop it in there and you just watch it burn off the e-nail.
Yeah. Well, that was also like back in the day too. The reality of having the ability to have the trichomes to fill the bowls to make the people high. That was also like part of the whole process. Now it's all equaling out where these things. I think I'm sure you'll find some contenders coming around from somewhere soon, like Alabama boy who's never seen dabs in his life, and all of a sudden they're gonna go like, "Here you go." He's like, "I ain't got no gag reflex." Bram, you're done. He's gonna be like, "Smoke." Oh, telling you.
No, it's funny. I've had a bunch of challengers from all over. I think the closest kid was a kid from I think he was from Oregon or something or whatever, and he came at me hard or whatever, and he caught me at the San Francisco Cup, and I had a chest cold.
Oh.
So I was just like, I did not want to be embarrassed, and I took him down or whatever. He gave me props or whatever, and it was his dabs or whatever, which, believe it or not, it becomes a scary thing because talking about dirty dabs or whatever, I've probably had to do some of the dirtiest because of people challenging me and stuff like that and being like, oh, you claim you dab hard, dab my stuff, and it's like, oh, that stuff looks like black goo, like
green or something.
You're just like, no, please.
No, it's amazing whether the lowest of the low can be.
You want to hear something funny? I'm so sensitive to it that in the Denver house, they had a sample, whatever, and they wanted to see me do a big dab, so they rolled up 3 of the samples, so a 3 gram dab of this shatter, and I thought it looked good, it looked clean, and when I took the dab of it, filled up the whole house, but I started getting these real cold sweats. I felt weak in my arm, and I told the dude, I was like, man, I think that was dirty. And the guy from the lab, whatever, that was testing or whatever, came back to me, and he would say, you know what, bro, it failed. It was dirty or whatever. And I was just like,
that's good.
Wow.
Yeah. Thanks for contributing your body to science there. It's very helpful.
Word, for sure.
Don't smoke the dabs that almost killed him. We don't know what they were. We can't say on the air probably.
It's not marked or whatever. I mean, I guess I could have gone back and checked or whatever and been a real dick and been like, oh, this person's dab made me sick. But
no,
I'm not trying to be a hater, man. Like, I'm sure those people were trying to make good medicine. And
normally you should notice it, but I guess you probably didn't see it in it, but maybe you would have tasted it if you did a little dab before your 4 gram dab.
Oh, yeah.
You probably should do like a micro dab.
Well, and that's the thing.
Have actually get a guy like him and have him do the micro dab. If he doesn't die, you're good.
They said they had tightened up the restraint or whatever on what they were allowing to fail and pass. So I mean, it was a stricter rule. So I mean, it was still at a level where probably it would have been clean and usable for some patients or whatever. But when you do 3 grams of it in one dab, it's definitely you can find out how unhealthy it is right away.
And like I said, thanks for contributing your body to science.
For science.
Boom.
I think that's the one thing that's interesting about this whole industry, though, too, is that we have self-voluntarily contributed
R&D patients.
contributed ourselves, like used ourselves as guinea pigs in so many ways, and pretty much not really seeing many ill effects come off from any. I mean, yeah, you might get something like that because it's such a big dab of maybe some PM or some nasty shit was in there, or just butane left over.
Yeah,
which
some
the funny part was, before this whole industry grew so fast, and there was a moment in time when the Fedor first came out. You know the Fedor? It's the stick. It's the ceramic stick.
Oh yeah,
the
yeah.
black box with the ceramic tip. Okay, now that to me is like the reverse nail. You know what I mean? As far as it's almost like they should just take that now and make a way to kind of use it as a nail, because it's kind of the same idea. But we would use it for water hash, and to me at that point in time, that was the cleanest way I could figure you could smoke, because there was actually we had oil plenty of times, but it was never the right oil. It was always like top of your head felt really weird, It's just like you're like like made you like literally your bones creak after you smoked it, like you felt it in your bones, and it was just because I'm sure it had a lot of residuals in it, because nobody was vac purging, and there wasn't a lot of technology out there.
I mean, the beautiful thing about it, at least, is that the butane doesn't really like to stick to it that well or whatever, and then that's what I
well, butane is pretty safe. I mean, it's technically used in food industries for a lot of different canola oil is extracted with butane, so it's like a normal giant vats of it, and so technically even the amounts that have been found in samples here are far below what they even would let you have in the industry. Like they'll be like 30 parts per millionth, and some things allow up to 1,500 parts per million.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's like what a lighter is versus, you know what I'm saying?
And that's kind of where I was going at, is originally there was a little moment in time when that Fedor came out that I was very anti-butane in all ways, shapes, and forms, because I was like, fuck butane, we don't need butane, right? Not knowing that this industry is about to blow up, and pretty much if I banished butane from the planet, if I had that power. If I had that power, I would have been pretty bummed out, because I'd be like, damn, I just got rid of the most important ingredients
to the
mix.
Yeah.
BHO failed. Major BHO failed by sending it off. But in general, the reason I was bringing that up was that there was a study done where they tested all these different kinds of smokables, and it was before dabs even were on the market. So this is about 1994, I think, 93, 94. And what they tested was basically weed, hash, cigarettes, meth, coke, tobacco, anything you could smoke in a pipe next to cigarettes, and then kind of compared notes. And what they found was that it was the amount of butane that people consumed was actually the worst part of their health. Worse than the crack, and worse than the heroin, and worse than everything was from the health side, not so much from a psychological side, because it didn't really get you high like that. But what it did do was rot people's teeth out really bad. So people who smoked, especially on a small pipe and a lot of hits, basically were like, it was the heat coming through and hitting the enamel of the teeth, combined with the
fumes
the
of the butane,
because the butane, the flame would go in so deep, and then the
fumes themselves,
the unburned butane would be affecting the enamel on the teeth. So the people who smoked like crack obviously went downhill super fast, because they were rolling through lighters like they were clips on a flip it, tie it up.
That's crazy.
So bongs, for instance, because they had the water, I think, filtered out a lot and there was no heat issues, but there was a lot of vapor issues. And you can imagine, like, especially people just on it. Big old acrylic bong, about that big,
just working that thing with a lighter.
Double bubble.
Well, that was my biggest defense when people like people that smoke flowers, especially out of a bong or whatever, use a lighter, tell me, oh, you're butane hash. That's awful. I'm like, dude, you're sucking butane off a lighter constantly. I mean, I did it too. I mean,
and it's unburned butane mixed with burnt butane, so it's actually got a lot of heavy. It's a lot of hydrocarbons that are not really necessarily healthy. Plus, like I said earlier, if you're smoking out of a small pipe, I'm kind of like, I smoke out of pipes sometimes, but dry pipes are a bit scary for me sometimes too, because I will never smoke and really never smoke dabs through anything that doesn't have water, I would say, just because that stuff's so heavy.
Yeah, I've had the dry hit, unfortunately.
It's not good. I don't think it's a good idea.
But I mean, it's more commendable. Like if you take a gram, like I did it the other night at First Friday or whatever. I took a
dry gram hit.
Yeah, dry gram hit because I forgot to put water in the pizza. So and they got it on video, so it was worth it. When you do it for the camera, it's good. Yeah.
But it hurt.
It hurt. It's a little more painful. Yeah. But hey, the whole thing that everybody was giving me a hard time about is blowing it out my nose. They're like, "Oh my God, you blow dabs out of your nose," and I was like, "Yeah, it doesn't bother me that much. It's not that bad for me."
It's just nice
Better
smell
than
for the rest of the
sucking
day.
it up through your nose. I think is probably worse.
Probably worse. And I seen a girl
very
posting.
unhygienic.
Yeah, I seen a girl posting on Instagram just taking nostril dabs just through the nose, straight up putting the mouthpiece to her nose and closing off one side and sucking it
awesome.
up. I was proud of her. I was like, man, that's you go, girl.
I don't know. That's pretty weird. But I'm sure there's some guy for everything on that one. They'll be like, dude, they'll be like, yeah.
I'm gonna go try it. Maybe today I'll go make the Instagram video because I
knows people out there for sure.
I did the
Everybody knows.
I converted my
Everybody knows.
I converted my gas mask, my old school gas mask with the acrylic bong, whatever.
Yeah.
I converted that thing to take dabs off of it and put like a little domeless nail and a joint on that thing, or whatever.
Yeah, those.
that thing up your nose.
But no, I mean your whole face is breathing it in, so I guess at that point it's almost
when
like
I was 16, I built something like that, except it was a way more elaborate.
This guy had to get all MacGyver on us.
Oh man, I got crazy MacGyver on you guys. No, this was one of those funny things. I was living in Rhode Island, and I lived in a farmhouse that was about a 200-year-old farmhouse, and in the back we had 2 other barns. So I took one barn and turned it into my little clubhouse. So.
We all had a little smoke clubhouse.
Went out, stole a bunch of plywood. Stole a bunch of plywood. Everybody thought I was building ramps, but I was like secretly building the inside of my little clubhouse. So the outside looked like a funky old barn that was about to fall apart, but the inside was like all this crazy nice wood paneling everywhere, because every time I hit a spot, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll grab a few of these. Oh, look at that, cedar, and like line it with cedar. It was crazy. It was all hodgepodge and weird, and like stolen signs from the neighborhood, like a Marlboro.
Yeah, see, we only had the cool stolen street signs. We didn't get into the wood like you did or whatever.
Well,
we made like some benches out of 2x4s.
Friends built ramps, so they knew all the spots. They were like, dude, just hit that, bam, boom.
Yeah, I mean, we built ramps too. We had a half pipe back there and everything, but I mean, still,
it's
like
expensive, man.
Yeah, and different woods, like plywood. We stole all our plywood and 2x4s from construction sites or whatever.
Of course,
we built a table in our nice little smoke spot or whatever. So we had half pipe outside.
That sounds nice.
Smoke shed.
I was in the country, so my deal was I decided to make like the ultimate smoking chamber, right? So like at first I was all because my whole deal back in the day was how can I? And this is probably where the leaf blower even came from. Because my whole deal was that I just wanted to figure out how to get like I didn't really want to like roll a joint, and I just wanted like to put my head inside of something and just boom, get high, So I was always thinking about stupid shit like that. So I decided to I took a gas mask, which I had, of course, converted it by connecting it to a power hitter. But instead of having the power hitter that you had to squeeze, I would connect the bottom of that to a Zodiac foot pump, like a huge one. Like, whoosh, whoosh. Nice. Take two pumps per joint, you know what I mean? Like,
nice.
Whoosh, whoosh, load it. Whoosh, whoosh, load it. I would go crazy. So then I decided that I was really into gravity boots at that time too. I thought that was the shit. Like I never had
upside down.
I didn't have them, but I wanted them really bad. Right? So I was like, I gotta get gravity boots, and I gotta figure out a way to go upside down, put on this mask, and it's gonna be awesome, right? So that was my big goal in life. So what I did was I couldn't figure out how to get gravity. There was no internet. You couldn't just go gravity boots. So I couldn't.
You just figured out somewhere to hang upside down, I'm sure.
I couldn't find them. No, so I decided that I would build like a coffin-shaped thing that you would lay inside of, and I put a pole behind it. Because there was a pole actually in the barn that was mounted, and I kind of saw the pole and was like, I could mount that on the back of a thing. And so then what we did was we took some ski boots and we mounted it at the bottom of the coffin. So I had this coffin with these ski boots, and I took an American flag and I lined it with the American flag.
That's nice. That's very patriotic of you.
And then I put some speakers inside of it because I had
because you have to have entertainment. You can't just be upside down smoking weed. I mean, that's boring.
Exactly. So I put these speakers inside, and the funny part is, I still have the radio. It's at the Hoodlab right now, and it has a keyboard that comes out of it. Right, it's an old.
That's insane. That's
so
proper.
I had a keyboard with sound effects that I could make by changing the tempo and the pitch. And actually, now that I look at it, I could probably produce a bunch of dubstep tracks on this little thing.
Nice.
1987 or 1985.
This dude had like the little Casio B3.
So
or
anyway,
whatever.
my plan was to put people in the coffin. Strap them in, flip them upside down, pump smoke into them, and then while I did that, I would play a lot of reverb on and talk over the mic and basically tell them they're about to get super high right now. You're about to get super high. Oh my God!
You're like,
God.
Oh man!
And then it was really funny because we had this little thing we would do because the smoke took a long time to get to the thing. It was kind of gross. So by the time it actually got there, it was really gross because shitty weed. Because I wasn't about to put my super kind bud in there every time. So I'd throw shitty weed in and pump this thing in, and you'd actually see the smoke come down, and then we would. We'd do here comes the smoke, doo-doo-doo. And we would sing that song as the smoke would come down, and then we would crank it up really loud with some Black Sabbath or something like that as the smoke got into their thing, and it'd be like, and with the coughing part, we'd put the then it was like down, and it was like, and then they were in their own little world, and then we'd flip them back over, and they'd kind of just fall into like a heap. It was awesome. I was like, that is my goal in life, is to get people completely and utterly fucking high. It's
like a weed ride.
And then the best part is that my landlord came to my mom and was like, I don't know, is your son a Satan worshiper?
Man.
The neighbors hear this loud music out there, and there's a coffin.
And he's bailing people out of a coffin.
And there's a gas mask in there, and I don't know what's going on. And he was really tripped out. He was like, and my mom's like, no, it's okay.
I could have swore I saw him taking a ceremonial sheep in there or something.
So it was definitely one of the funnier things I did in my life, but it was definitely like, it was a sort of shows the direction that I went into, and I just kind of always had this feeling like I need to communally get high with people and get a whole bunch of people high as fast as possible. Like, I started up one at a time in this machine, but it wasn't fast enough, So it was like, we need to.
And they mistaken that for devil worshiping. Like, your baby worshiping the devil out there.
Exactly. Well, that's how misconceptions get started, of course. But I'm not a devil worshiper. Never have been. I did like heavy metal. That was the whole thing. I was really into Metallica and all that back in the day. So it could have looked that way.
To some heavily religious people, that would be like you're the devil.
Well, yeah. And the funny part was there was like the way my house was.
It's about the same.
Well, the way my house was, there was a driveway that was behind the place, and I never saw it. Or never saw the cars there, but they obviously had to go past there all the time, and that was like, literally, they must have been terrified because they would come past, and there was always like bonfire in the back or something, and my friends riding motorcycles, going nuts, you know what I mean? So, I tried to make the best of it.
Word. I got to get rolling, man.
Okay, well, hey, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was dope hanging out with you guys.
For sure. We'll definitely get you back on. We're weekly,
for sure.
When you're here, try to come on Wednesdays. Then you can always
definitely.
pop in for a second.
Yeah, for sure.
Got to kill two birds.
Word, for sure, definitely.
Peace.
Adios.
Thank God we didn't have to rely on Flargo this whole time. It would have been.
I know, it would have been the worst show ever.
This show would have really blew.
I'm like, what's going on? What are they talking about? Why are they just sitting there?
Have you found any news that's worthy yet?
I mean, not
really.
really.
That was it?
News
Cannabis
is
news
lame.
is two things happened. Well, I started talking about it earlier, and I guess I can kind of reiterate the fact that the first hemp crop was grown
that's in the news
successfully, and it's all over the news, and it was an awesome experience to be part of as far as I didn't get to, unfortunately, be part of the beginning part, but definitely to be in the last, which is the really part everybody wants to be at, the harvest, of course. And I think it's going to become an annual event that may turn into something really special. And I hope to go talk with those guys. And actually, we'll get him on the air, Ryan Laughlin, who's the farmer that was responsible for this. And I'll let him kind of I'm sure he's getting bombarded by people right now, so we'll let it go another week or so. But maybe next week we'll give him a call and a few other people, because I think it's a pretty important thing. And if people get the chance to see the reality of this thing kind of come to fruition, which I think it could, that town of Springfield could become a really major hotspot. And right now it's completely dead. I was there a week ago.
It's pretty dead.
It was about 80% of the stores were shut down and boarded up. And I was like, wow.
They're not for rent.
Not for rent. No, I didn't notice.
Not for rent. They're just boarded up.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe somebody needs to go there and talk with them and kind of figure some stuff out, because I have a feeling if they had one dispensary in that town, that might actually help bring a few people there, because you're only
It's a
20.
big farm hub.
Well, they're 20 miles from Kansas too, so imagine if they could, get in people that are fresh from out of town, and not just, obviously you want to help locals, but if there's boarded up 80% of the place, they seem to have a little bit of room there, So I would say it would be pretty awesome to see the town like that get on the map and actually have some sort of impact, because the reality is that we've already got a crop in, product will be made. There's not enough industry yet, but it's going to be. We've only got, less than 6 months to put it all together for the next round, and that's how quick things turn.
And you got a year to figure out how it's all gonna be processed.
Yeah, and the thing is, when the processing side of it all, which is one good part about it, is that Colorado is going to be the obvious choice for all these spots, because you're going to try to keep your carbon footprint small. And I think that would obviously going to bring a lot of jobs. But I can't really put a number on it, because it all depends on how big you're talking. If it's a factory and you're talking about processing multiple items, then you're going to end up with hundreds of people needing jobs at that one particular factory. And if you can do that for a small town that's already looking like it's like on its Dust Bowl sort of vibe, where you can drive through and there's nothing going on, if you could bring 100 jobs to that town and build houses out of hemp for those people to go live in, and kind of prove the point, like, hey, look, here's the factory, here's the hemp, we're growing houses for these people, and they're working for us, and possibly follow like like David Bronner's sort of style, where you would, make the people who work for you part owners of this company. You know what I mean? Go for that whole like grassroots vibe, where people feel like, all right, I'm going to go work for these guys, and I'm going to get my little percentage, and it's going to expand so fast that my little percentage is actually going to be something substantial in 20, 30 years when, they retire or whatever. And you can get a lot of young up-and-coming people to move to Colorado just to do that job, I think. And like I said, even though you want to give jobs to locals, to bring in on those kind of towns where they're already sort of empty, that would be phenomenal. And
it's more useful than corn.
And it's more useful than corn.
There's a lot of corn land that could be hemp.
Yeah, and what was interesting down in that area too was that there was a lot of signs saying not for sale to the Army. So I'm assuming that the Army's trying to buy the whole area up.
You didn't see those red glowing lights at night? That was scary.
Yeah, no,
they have these red glowing lights on their windmills that all just synced up, so it's like a 100-mile stretch of just whoa.
It was kind of, I think they were calling aliens or something. It had like that alien vibe where you're like,
everything had red lights.
Yeah, and then the red light thing was weird because it kind of came two times, and I was like, did we turn around and go right back to the same red lights? Because it's like the same. You're driving in the dark, and all you see is just a string of lights. But yeah, the whole area there, it's kind of like a little bit like more like New Mexico or something, and it's got that drier climate. Pretty desolate. I mean, some parts I felt like I was in Mexico, actually, like with the way that the overpasses, for the people to walk over the overpass, because it's so like far to the next thing or something, and they were all kind of beat up and, looking. It wasn't that bad because it was then, after that it was all nice and groomed, and then it kind of got back to, nothingness. But it was definitely an area that I don't think a lot of people from Colorado actually even seen before, because it was like, okay, this is definitely a zone that's kind of the land that time forgot of Colorado, But like I said, yeah, that's keep your eyes out for all the news coming from that event, the Springfield 60 acres that just got harvested. And come on, news guy, you're supposed to have like at least one news item. Jesus.
I was looking at dab.
You were gonna dab.
No, I was looking at the column. The news
Come
about
on
this. First in 56 years.
Well, that's the same article, so that's we just did that pretty much.
Yeah.
Breaking news. Again, I'll just reiterate that this Sunday is coming up will be our special edition of Hands on Hemp, and we're going to be screening, bringing it home from David Bronner's. And there he is. Another drop-in guest. We have a show.
Yeah.
Welcome to Seedy Wednesday.
Well, thank you. How are you guys doing today?
We're good.
Welcome.
I was just dropping off new magazines to the studio.
Oh, actually, that reminds me of the fact that we are. I'm still mid judge.
How's that going?
It's going well. I mean, I actually been taking my time.
Good.
You know,
No, this is wild.
It-
Sixth graders
it can go
in
quick.
space.
There we go. It's Colorado sixth graders beer making experiment headed for space station. That's pretty cool. I gotta admit. I mean, is he gonna do something interesting with it, or is it just so that we can have some beer in space, or
Microgravity
beer
experiment.
in space? Yeah, we have a friend of ours who's done a show here, the 2 for Tuesday. Was that a fun show? 2 with Tuesdays. Yeah, they're eating with Vinny. You were here. Yeah, 2 was on Tuesdays a couple weeks ago. No, remember little Vinny? You didn't do the show? No, I'm sure you did. It was 2
I don't know what he's talking about.
Tuesdays. Tuesdays with 2. You didn't have that? Yeah, you did. Yes. Yes, it was the temporary fix. Anyway.
Were you here? Probably not.
Anyway,
maybe
who had the
physically.
Tuesday show for one moment of his life, and you forgot about it already, so that's obviously
Made an impact.
didn't make much of an impact. But one idea that 2 did have was a space purge, which I do like. So you would like get a hot weather balloon, send it up, and send up your product, and so it gets the pressures of space. No heat, not heat purge though. It would be cold purge, so it'd be kind of an interesting one. But if you could then retrieve it, you could advertise it as space purged. And I thought it was a good marketing tool for sure, because who would not want hash that
Hash was in space.
Hash in space.
That is,
So-
that has got to be the most expensive hash ever produced.
Well, then what you'd end up with is Denver would have like 1,000 balloons
Right.
above it at all times.
No fly
So how do you get it down? I mean,
You gotta pull your
have it
string.
long string.
Long
Really
string,
long
yeah,
string.
mile-
Well, it's got to
yeah.
be a hem string too. So let's really
course.
do it up.
Yeah, that'll work.
Oh, yeah.
That'll hold to the atmosphere.
That's not going to be illogically
No, not at all.
possibly not ever working. But we'll do it anyway.
Right up.
So how's it going with it from the other side of the fence?
You know, it's good. I'm actually out doing deliveries of magazines, and I was just stopping by to drop off the studio because I'm not
Nice.
going to be here for the show tomorrow.
Wow.
Dropping off our Frankenstoner cover.
There you go.
Oh,
Show it
yeah,
live. Show it live.
Frankenstoner.
Frankenstoner.
It's the fun. Now that we're monthly, we can do like holiday covers and have fun.
Yeah,
with
it doesn't
Halloween.
make. It's not like Christmas was like 2 months ago, bro.
I know, man. It's crazy. And then here's a poster for our party where we're making the awards announcements. You can't tell. Yeah.
There we go. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's at Castleman's, November 2nd. It's our 2-year anniversary of the first publication hitting the streets, too.
Pretty awesome.
I know. And then the second annual Hemp Connoisseur Championship Award ceremony.
We should probably put the original cover out again. I would say would be the best idea.
Oh, yeah. And, that is true. You were the original cover. Well, not you personally, but
It should have been
was.
me. No, of course, I would not want it to be me. But
They would have just been like, who's this hippie on the cover?
no, but it was definitely, I think, a really good, groundbreaking sort of edition in the sense that it came out perfect time.
Yeah.
You had 2 years to sort of now you kind of settling in.
Your timing was very lucky, actually. And when we first came out, everybody was like, dude, why? There's too many magazines out there.
Magazines are really hard to produce and keep going, just because
Yes, they are.
it's if it's something successful, people want to jump all over it,
Yeah.
and then you got all this competition. And if it's super niche, sometimes you run out of things to talk about.
Yeah.
Luckily with us, it's a constant.
Well, there's
changing
never,
news.
that's the nice thing is because we toe that line on hemp and on marijuana, and
Yeah.
it's like we're never going to run out of
Yeah.
things to talk about.
Yeah, no, and I think so too. And it's luckily it's been a lot of positive for the last 2 years. It's been very few negative things, which is great to see.
Except for the military banning hemp products. You heard about that, right?
No, I would assume they would anyway, though, just because they're worried about tests or some bullshit.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. They were worried about tests. And Chobani, I think it is. Is that the name of the Greek yogurt company?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they have hemp in some of their products.
Yeah.
Well, because of the military ban, that's the step backwards. They took all hemp out of their products.
Great.
Yeah.
That's stupid. They should have just came over here and expanded their market a lot bigger.
Exactly.
Should we write them?
I mean, that would be great marketing, but banned by the military.
Yeah.
Now you know you want it.
Gotta have it now. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
like the number one. That's
Yeah.
the number one sales pitch of everything when you're banned. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to go with that. You know?
Exactly.
I mean, that's
Exactly.
your bad boy. Your bad boy yogurt boy. Bad boy yogurt.
The bad.
It's the bad boy yogurt. That would be good. I think so.
Yeah, I think it would work. But that's the only negative news I've heard on the hemp front. I mean, the harvest just happened.
No, we were just talking about that. It was
Were you?
awesome. Yeah, it was awesome.
Great pictures. Did you go? I didn't get to go.
I was there.
Yeah.
It was for me. It was awesome because I got to go and kind of run around and look for the one or two strains that I thought were. They basically had 3 strains going there.
Is that what it was?
And one didn't really work because it got kind of overgrown by the grass too fast because it was slow. It's a much smaller plant. And then there was two other strains. One, I'd say would be the sort of, I don't know, I'm not sure which strain it was. It was a much more thin, interesting, a lot of seed. And then there was another one, which I think was probably the best one, which is somewhere in between, like stood out above everything. But there was the least amount of those ones. So
that's something I didn't realize.
that was the English.
Brown. I mean, it was tan. It was like almost looked like wheat.
No,
right?
That is wheat.
Oh, that's just wheat. Oh, you're just messing with me.
No,
There it is. There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I keep seeing the pictures of it. I'm like, I didn't think it harvested like wheat. You know?
No, and that's the misconception. Well, that's the thing. When you see those pictures, it's kind of hard to tell unless they're like bundled up. Then you
Right.
see the bundles, and that was the thing is that they came in late. The harvest was on time, but the initial planting was about a month late,
Gotcha.
and there was already established things, and so it kind of just came up through it. And so technically, if you had planted those seeds at about 40 seeds per square foot, then you would choke out all those weeds.
Right.
Not like weeds; they're little whatever the grass that they're. It's for
indigenous.
yeah, exactly. Indigenous grasses.
Sesame Street's word of the day.
We definitely want to strangle the indigenous, strains because that's what we're all about.
Right.
As long as they're indigenous, that's the American way. The
I saw a
American way.
cannabis camera was there. Kim Sidwell, and they did a great job of documenting. the
Yeah,
photos.
no, and
They
that was
were
the cool
really
part is that we, and I got her a ride down there. So there you go,
There you
bam,
go.
because I was like, you cannot miss this kid.
No.
I didn't.
We
give her-
sent our managing editor Rick Macy went over there to do some interviews and stuff.
Yeah, and it was pretty awesome to meet the family, and they were really cool. And I can see that there's going to be a future for them if they stick with this.
Right.
And I think they see it because they had 30 people out there helping them out, which it's hard to get 30 people to do anything these days. You
Yeah.
know, take time off their schedule to actually come out and do stuff. But I already see it as a huge opportunity for them to open up to the public every year like that, and then turn it into maybe like a week-long fair or something.
I think that would be awesome.
Because
Yeah.
harvest takes a while; it doesn't
Yeah.
happen overnight. So setting up and being there for a week
Yeah,
with a
have
bunch of
harvest month or whatever you want.
Yeah.
Harvest party.
Harvest,
Harvest
everybody
year.
loves a
Harvest
party.
festival. in
harvest year,
Springfield.
harvest year,
Definitely.
Festivus, yeah, Festivus, all day.
Did you guys? Hey, quite weird question. Did you get stopped by the police on your way there?
No, why?
Oh, because I heard like our man, Rick got stopped. He doesn't speed. He's like a very slow driver, and he got stopped. And the guy's like, "You were speeding. You were 10 miles over the speed limit." He's like, "I was actually 2 miles under." And he's like, "Oh, you're really gonna argue with me in my town of Springfield?"
What?
And he ended up getting a $110 ticket.
Wow.
Yeah. And I guess there were a couple other people there that said they had the exact same issue.
We got the Asian mobile. We're taking tons of pictures, so they weren't
Yeah.
trying to pull us over.
Well, the funny part was that we actually came up from the back side, so that's probably why we didn't get.
You snuck in.
And the really funny
More fun
part.
coming up the backside anyway.
Yeah, you might.
I couldn't help it. It was right there. It was right there.
It's like a meatball. It was like a meatball. Just had to whack it.
You couldn't help it.
But no, in general, I think. It was funny. We decided to take the long route by. It was like I bought a coffee, and as I bought the coffee, it was weird because it's like I went into a time warp or something because I thought everything was cool. I was on track, and then all of a sudden I looked, and I'm like 60 miles south of where I need to be, and I'm all, well, that didn't make any sense. How did I do that? And then I realized, so I was like, all right, I'm taking this road, and I started driving, and I had about a quarter tank of gas, and I realized I was on a 110-mile long trip with nothing but desolate land, and it was like nothing. And I get to this one little town, and finally, and the town was called Kim, so I called Kim hey, I'm in Kim, Colorado. And then about 10 minutes later, I was like, Kim sucks. Because it was the worst, man. They couldn't even get gas in the town. There was 3 gas station pumps in different spots, and either their credit card machine didn't work, and the guy didn't have a key, or the guy lived 40 miles away, and he wasn't going to come out to help you out. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to run out of gas. But luckily, because I came around, I ended up, the farm is right on the south side of town, so it was like perfect. Boom, rolled in.
And he missed the Super Troopers then, I guess.
And I missed all the Super Troopers. They definitely would have pulled us over, and we would have been pretty much...
Hemp house?
They would have known. They would have said, you guys maybe smoked something?
Yeah.
They got the hemp house in North Carolina.
Yeah. Is it already there?
Oh, yeah, it's already been there, hasn't it?
That's the one that's been around. Okay.
Yeah, this is the one that
Michael
built, right?
Yeah, the Asheville one, yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
They're featuring it on CNN?
Yeah, it was, August 25th.
Yep. It's a nice house, too.
Yeah,
It's
it is really cool. I want to go visit. Have you gotten a chance to see the house?
No, I haven't been to
it. Looks like a really nice house.
Looks
yeah,
gorgeous.
it was back in 2010.
Yeah.
How much did it cost him to build that, you think?
A lot.
Kajillions.
Kajillion.
At least 5 kajillion.
Yeah. At least.
So that's the question. How many hemp plants would it take to build a house?
And where did they get the hemp? That's what I'm wondering.
I think they got it
from France.
I think it was from France.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was from Europe. France is doing the most of it?
Yeah, it's mostly getting exported from France. And that's the crazy part is like the carbon footprint of growing hemp in France to ship it to here to then process it to then like the only the good part about it is the fact that hemp actually holds CO2 and then it traps it first and then it actually takes in more and more and more and it keeps absorbing it, and as it takes more in it becomes harder and harder and harder and harder, and then that's why the qualities of it are so great, because it's actually carbon footprint is negative. So that the only saving grace to the fact that they're going to import this stuff all the way from Europe is that it is actually a negative carbon footprint.
But it takes a time to become a negative carbon.
Yeah, like 20 years probably, something like that, But in that process, it's always it's like in a vacuum where it's always sucking in carbon, which is awesome. But just the waste of you could have grown all that in the surrounding areas and kept that footprint super low, and then that would have been the best angle, because especially as it being an eco house,
Well, we'll get there.
I want one.
I'm already talking about it. My parents are all like, because we're having a baby on the way now. They're like, well, we're thinking of moving there. I'm like, really? Because the house next to me is like completely like abandoned, and like it's not abandoned, he lives there, but it's like he doesn't live there, he lives down the street, and he's just trash. I'm like, I want to buy that lot, demolish it, and rebuild a hemp house right there.
Go for it.
I know. And it's like, it's not...
And you want mommy to pay for it?
No.
Is that where you're going with
Honestly, no. I actually want the hemp connoisseur to pay for it and make it a project.
Oh, there you go. It's even better.
Yeah, exactly. And then we'll cover the whole event the whole time. Then it's a tax deductible house. I doubt that's going to happen. Let's be honest. We could barely pay for the magazine. That's not true, actually. But
dirty laundry.
Nah, just kidding.
No, like I said earlier, magazines are one of the hardest things. It's a medium that people like. I mean, you're not even charging for it, and it's still it's part of the deal of like people feel nervous to take something for free.
They do,
but if you charged them, they'd feel like you're ripping them off. So it's like you're in this balance. Like, come on, guy, I'm trying to give it to you for free. What they used to do in Holland, which was kind of funny, is they'd put a price on it always.
Just to see if you pay.
But nobody ever paid, ever. Like, there was like the High Life
it.
magazine. It was like the funniest thing because they had like pretty high price too, like €4 or something stupid. And so the guy would drop it off and it would come with an invoice and it would say everything except at the bottom it just said 0. And it was just like, even though the numbers were all there, like, okay, this would have cost.
Just in case.
Just so that you could feel the value, I guess. And it was just hilarious because it was like, not a single person ever bought, and it went through all that energy, like printing you a bill, and at the bottom it says 0, and you're like, wow.
But maybe it makes people appreciate it more and actually read it, thinking that I just got 4 free euros.
For free.
Yeah, you'd think so. But the funny part with that magazine, which was like on many, is that it really became a super pissing contest between bigger shops to see who had the triple, quadruple centerfold fold out with, and you're like, all right, guys, like it had to be. It wasn't like a regular fold. It had to be like a 4 to 5 times fold out.
Like, wait, and open up the next wall.
But then it was
unstaple.
But then it was always these really vague pictures that didn't really make sense.
Were they like? Was it like nug porn or what was it?
It was like a combination of mostly chicks. I mean, it was usually chicks who looks like they just were holding a pipe really strangely, or like pretending to smoke, or riding on a unicorn or something. And it was just kind of like, oh wow, this is totally cool. I need this. It wasn't really the the core of the companies or something. And then on top of that, it was so glossy and so over the top. But it was just all ads and very little content. It's just like your classic story. That's where it comes down to.
That's where it is.
You have to have some content.
Well, and that is the hard balance, as we always try to balance on the editorial, the content and the ads, and I think we're pretty good at it. 50-50 is actually really good for a magazine, and that's where we're at.
Right.
And we try to keep that balance. But it's funny because I had somebody just last week say, "Oh yeah, man, I love your magazine. I'm thinking of doing a magazine. What's your advice?" And I was like, "Don't." It's like, well, it wasn't in the canvas industry, so have at it. But honestly,
it is hard.
It's
It all depends, I guess, on what your goal is, and if you have a company and you're trying to advertise, like there's like Rosebud, for instance.
Right.
That whole magazine was based on the fact that it's advertising, and it's making money, and it's well put together, and they had really good articles.
Yeah, they didn't last though.
But I couldn't, but it didn't last, and then on top of that, I was like, I picked them all up usually, and they sat in the back of my car, and then someone else would read it and tell me something was cool, and then I would go, because it was like they kind of went all over the place too.
Yeah.
Where it was like they had really nice ads for really expensive products.
Very
that you're like,
expensive
wow,
products.
these are big ads. It's like, whoa.
Yeah, but who's gonna buy that stuff? It's like.
But then at the end of the day, I was and surprised too. A lot of the companies seemed pretty corporate, and I was like, oh, okay, so Volkswagen is advertising in there or something.
Yeah, no, they had a good sales group on there that were getting those big end people, but it was one of those. I think, I feel like they probably expanded too fast.
Yeah.
And did that. We've kind of maintained, like, let's keep it at the same size. Let's make sure we're really strong at this size.
Well, and I think
before
part of it
grow.
was the fact that everybody who owned the company and then read it could just see the formula, like every other page, another product from the same guys who are making it. So it was just pure self-advertising,
right?
Which is cool. Yeah. That's why I said if you can afford it and you can print a magazine and it turns into it's almost like advertorials that people don't know, and they go like, "Oh my god, I've been had." This is an advertorial.
And I think
that's probably why they failed.
That it might be, and that's probably why some of the other ones did. Like Cannabis Voice came out of a couple of years ago, and everybody loved it. It was this big, pretty magazine, but it was owned by a dispensary, and half the pages in there were advertising that dispensary.
Yeah.
And other dispensaries are like, "Why would I give another dispensary money to advertise me?"
Yeah, exactly.
So
and that's where it is hard because the industry is fickle like that.
It is very fickle.
So if you are coming at it too professionally, you're too professional. If you're coming at it not, then you're obviously not.
That was our goal. I like the way we're just professional enough.
There you go. That's a good one to work with.
It is
because it is part of the deal of people feeling that you're genuine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where we're about to go with this whole recreational thing that's about to happen. Like the people who are really, really into it most of them are pretty tired because they've been fighting the fight so long, and now it's about to go rec, and they have to be part of that, so they're going to go and push for that. But some of them are bowing out and saying, "Forget about it. It's just too much work." And I don't want to wait.
Let me just sell my license, make a couple $1 million off my license now because there's not that many out there to be had.
Yes, and I think also the fact is that it's the you kind of got to be careful what you wish for sometimes. And I think the fact that we're getting a chance to have shops that anybody can roll into over 21, buy some cannabis, we're all expecting that the quality is going to go down. It's going to be, the prices are going to go down or up depending on where you are on the ladder. It'll definitely go down as a grower. It probably goes up as a consumer because of the taxes and all the extras. So we're kind of in that weird zone where we're going to all be like, geez, did we like it like this? And then I think we will because, of course, nobody wants to get arrested anymore. That's the most important part. And that's the most expensive part because you forget about it until something happens, and then you're like, wow, this is really expensive and stuff. It's going to cost me $50,000 just to get this stupid little thing smudged off, And if we can avoid all those, that's obviously going to be huge because then there's people stay in this, active pieces, people in society and all that. So that's important. But
I don't know. I think the thing that nobody seems to be talking about, well, first of all, hotels are booked. In January, already booked, which is hysterical. And it's like those of you who booked hotels in January, be ready for a little bit of disappointment because there may be not as many places open and ready for you at that time.
I mean,
Well,
They're going to be packed.
They're going to be packed. They're already having production problems right now with just people with red cards.
Yeah.
So how are they going to handle this huge influx?
I already said there's going to be an implosion. Like mid-summer next year is going to be like we're going to be hurting.
Yeah.
So stock up, everybody.
Yeah. Well, that's what I tell you. If you have a red card, that's going to be a more manageable stockpile because they'll have the patients, they'll have the plants. What I was told is they're allowed to take 50% of their medical stock and shift it to recreational in the beginning, just to be able to cover that because they're not allowed to grow yet for the recreational side.
Right.
But so I think if you have a red card, you'll have problems with production in the beginning. But then you can
So
always, but
if you're going for recreational, does that mean they can just grow as much as they need?
no, not quite.
And they have to be able to prove how many
Yeah.
things. It's going to have to be a slide. I'm sure it'll
There's
come.
300
It should be tiered
60 million
licensing, honestly. It
Americans.
should just be like, okay, I want a license for 200 plants. Pay this much. Okay, another 200 plants. Let me do this.
Yeah.
And just pay by piece, for what you feel you need as a company.
So you can just either stay at your growth level or
Yeah.
grow with the ease of paying more money,
Yeah.
and then the state's happy.
Yeah, exactly. But that's logical, and who knows if
I mean,
That just makes too much
logical.
sense.
Why would you want to get logical?
logic and legislation, get out of here.
There's
You
no
have to
point.
grow in a 5-walled room.
Yeah.
Build new buildings. Build new buildings, damn it. 5 walls.
Yeah, they don't. I don't think anybody really knows. It's kind of interesting. That's the other part of this whole reason I came back to America was to sit at the front and center and watch this whole thing. It's like a parade or something.
It really
It's
is fun to watch, isn't
Literally
it?
like a parade every day. It's
I like
do,
sitting
do,
on the
do,
sidelines,
do.
honestly, on this
Keeps
one.
coming. Well, you want to get in on the parade, of course.
We're in on it, but I think we're not like the master of ceremonies or anything.
Yeah.
We're just sitting there like, let's see how this goes. We'll report on it, let everybody else know about what the struggles.
Jamin Shively keeps using that quote about the best thing to do is to find a parade and stand in front of it. And that's look for one that's already out there, you know what I mean, and then get in front of
Get in
that
front
one.
of it.
So I'm kind of liking that idea.
I
It's
like that.
so
That is a good
I don't think I would want to sit on the sidelines as much as it is a good idea just to be that guy who's like,
Right.
so who's that guy up in
Yeah.
front? Because he's not really leading us, is he?
Is he? Well, he looks like he is.
Maybe he is.
Maybe.
He's got a beard.
That's a good way to put
See
it.
if I got a beard, then that's usually the key.
Have a beard? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
and they
what
all
I'm
just
lacking.
kind of do like the Pied Piper style, you know.
Well, when you have the hat on, too, get a nice long feather.
Yeah, that'll work for
That
sure.
would really work.
Follow this guy.
Yeah, hey, dude, he's got a big feather in his hat. He's got to be important.
He's got a beard and a feather. He must be. He must be.
That's pretty funny.
Just wear your unicorn hat.
Cool. So we are kind of getting down to the last 5 minutes, which is pretty awesome. Obviously, I haven't done a big shout out to my
This is
wife
pretty
and my
cool.
baby yet because I'm lame like that. But I'm gonna do it right now. I hope Nick's awake now because he was sleeping when I first got on. I'm sure if he's on there. I'm coming home, baby. I'm coming home, Nick. And to Cece, my wife who runs things over there at the Hoodlab and keeps everything rolling. We have a full stock of clothes right now. We just got a new shipment. So anybody who's listening who lives in the Denver area, if you want to get Hoodlam, you got to come down pretty soon because we do not have much stock. We keep everything kind of limited so that you are exclusive in yourself. You'll know that you'll be one of the only guys with that color and that size because we don't keep a huge amount, and that makes everybody, I think, realize how limited our stuff is sometimes. We're working on it, though. We'll keep you updated with some new news next week. But in between, remember 3354 Larimer is that spot for that. Also, if you want to just come down and hang out, we're always down there and gladly help you out with some questions if you have anything about growing or whatever. Like, just come through. It's the easiest.
It's a unique place, man. It's one of the most unique spots, I think. It's great.
Yeah, it's an evolving spot, and the nice part is if anybody who's out there has been there, they know it's like we're very relaxed, and we like to have people, cool people around us, so it's always good vibes there. And I think it's weird because it's like to me it's just normal because that's what we do, but I think that's kind of like our job is to be the welcome wagon for a lot of people. So when they come into Denver, until this whole recreational thing kicks in, we're kind of like at least that middle ground where people can feel comfortable and smoke their own cannabis. We're obviously not providing any, but if you want to come in and you got some in your pocket and you need a safe place to come smoke, there's a good spot there. And hopefully with the weather the way it is, looking good these last few weeks, it's been beautiful. And this Sunday, I'm going to reiterate again, Hands on Hemp, big special edition.
Me in Vegas.
Movie.
I know.
I'd say we canceled it. David's not going to be
I
here.
know, yeah.
Boo.
Sorry, guys.
I seem to not
Hands-
ever be able to go to it lately. It's like
No.
every time he's like, yeah, I'm coming. Oh, crap. This just came up.
But we're doing the special edition, bringing it home. We're going to show that at 420 inside, and then we might show it again outside later, depending on
Weather.
the weather and if people are interested enough to see it again, and if there are people that stay, and who knows. But it'll be fun. We do movie nights on Wednesday anyway, so if you stay around, I'm sure we'll have some Stony Classic to present. I want to thank Flargle in the corner over here, this guy, feeding me with like tidbits of nothing hardly. But next week he's going to have it really wrapped up because he's going to know that this is his job now and it's not just hanging around doing dabs. But even though we try to make sure that that's part of the job.
It's part of it.
Drug test all of my employees. That's
If they don't have at least 20
I-
nanograms,
I have
they're in
always
trouble.
done that. That's been policy one since the beginning, since my very first employee. I was like, we do drug testing, right? And then I watched him get really nervous because he was from Poland, and he was like, I was like, what? No, I'm not going to drug test you. Are you kidding me? Here, smoke this, but we do officially drug test on a daily. All employees.
Just to test it, your drugs, basically.
And I guess I could call out to anybody in Denver there too. If you guys want to drop off resumes and you're interested in interning for us, we are taking intern resumes and hopefully maybe join the team on a couple of different levels. We have events that we like to put on, so we have people working on that side, and we have the retail side with the shop and the wholesale and distribution. So if you like any of those things, or you love hemp, or you love just what we're doing, you can come down to the lab and drop off your resume. And if you're from out of town, you can also mail it to 3354 Larimer Street, Denver, Colorado, 80205. I'm sure I'll get a bunch from all over. People want to come here and work in the industry because that is definitely a good stepping stone place to go from, just because you will meet everybody in the industry in Denver within a very short time, as we tend to be sort of this little epicenter of the cannabis universe, as we have been called back in Amsterdam with our original shop, and somehow this epicenter keeps moving around and following me everywhere I go. So,
well, if Hoodlab won't take you as an intern, we might actually at the Hemp Connoisseur.
Hey, whoa, back off.
Oh, no. Only if you won't take them, we'll take your rejects. How's
Okay,
that?
rejects. We'll go over to him. Wow. I'm sure your staff loves to hear that.
Oh, great. Thanks for giving us some rejects to work with. Awesome.
Not only that, they might be questioning their position in the
No, they're solid. They're solid. Well, yeah.
So, and then next week we will hopefully have a whole bunch of great sponsors to talk about. This week I didn't really push it too hard, and I'm letting everybody mull it over. Hopefully they listen to the show, they like what we're doing, and they could have had their product placed here about 200 times in the last hour. I would have definitely done it, especially for some real moolah. So we're going to work on that. And if you're interested in sponsoring this show, which could be possible, you can always contact us at our Gmail account, which is seedywednesday@gmail.com. Obviously all one word, or swing by the lab, 3354 Larimer, and drop it off there. Sounds good. How are we looking at time? Cut it off. We're on the very first one. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
And we're out of here.